What is up and welcome to another edition of Worth a Watch with me, Anthony Flores. And it's a very special Worth a Watch today. I got my co-host from our podcast, Buddy. So happy to have you on the channel.
My name is Buddy. Hi.
Yeah.
How's it going? My name's Daniel, and I am the co-host of the podcast that this guy is on. And I am on.
Yeah.
That's what co-host means, right?
Yeah.
So we host a podcast about animation. We just started not too long ago, and we'd appreciate it if you checked it out.
It's the fan's guide to animation, and I've already plugged this several times already, but I have to say it once more because I really think you all should listen. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's really good, and I work real hard on it.
Yeah, like here, I brought him on to talk about the little movie film Colossal, and it's quite a big movie. I shouldn't say little, but it's
big as in because it's got monsters.
Yes.
Is that a pun?
Yes,
is that what
that was a
that's
pun.
what you're going for. Okay.
Yes, that's what I was going for.
Yeah.
In this channel, we have no rules. We just say stupid shit all the time, and by we, I mean myself.
We.
So anyways, the whole, we're gonna get into spoilers closer to the mid section of this video, so it's kind of hard not to talk about spoilers with this.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. Heck, even I saw a new poster that got released. It kind of spoiled a big aspect of the movie. So
it's been enough time, I think.
We got ourselves Anne Hathaway involved in this story that she is a alcoholic. She realizes that very early on in the movie. Her boyfriend, played by Dan Stevens, kicks her out from their apartment. And she ends up having to go through one of those journeys of life of going back home. And then she runs into a former classmate from elementary school, played by Jason Sudeikous. And he, through her rough and tumbling of times right now, she ends up getting a job with him at his bar. And that's where she kind of discovers on television one day that there is a monster terrorizing South Korea. And it is through happenstance that she happens to just do this little motion and a couple other things, just moving her arms and stuff.
Yeah, she realizes that she's connected to the monster somehow, and she can control its movements. We learn why and how later on in the movie, but she and this monster kind of have a one-to-one kind of thing where she moves, it moves, but only at a certain time and at a certain place.
This monster connection is really specific. No, we're not joking. That there is some serious rules to the position, and there's a lot of different little things like that do kind of get explained in the movie. We'll get to more of that in the spoiler territory of the video, but yeah, I gotta say real quickly before we get into that, I think the performances were pretty solid.
Yeah, I think the performance is actually really good for what they had.
They had kind of I think when it comes down to the performances, it all of course comes down to Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikous' character. They're the ones that the movie really, really focuses on. A lot of the side characters are kind of there. Some of them are comedic, some of them are kind of like plot devices more than anything. But outside of that, we have them interacting with each other throughout the movie. You kind of get the sense that they're kind of pushing the romantic storyline kind of between them, maybe. And this is, I guess, where we can just say spoilers here, because this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, you can't really talk about a lot of this movie without getting into the spoilers.
Yeah, so if you've yet to see the movie, you can click us off right now. The things that take a turn for this movie are all in Jason Sudeikous' character. He starts off as a really Jason Sudeikous kind of guy. He's really
a nice guy, charming.
Really charming, funny, and just all around, he's got that, humor down pretty well, and he's just very much a really chill guy. And then
in the beginning, you're kind of rooting for him.
Exactly,
a little bit, because you said, they were trying to hint at a love thing. So you're like,
especially since they grew up together.
This guy seems like a nice choice, because Dan Stevens was kind of a dick, a little bit. But it's understandable with the situation that he was put in. So you're like, oh, I like this guy. Maybe she should be with him, and maybe that'll solve all the problems. And that's how the movie's gonna go.
It dives into a stalker territory, man.
Where there's a line drawn in the movie where it's real different in tone.
And that's where we can get to probably the biggest problem with the movie is the tones cannot be evened out at all. It's always an extreme to the next, and that again all goes down to Jason Sudeikous' character. You see the progress that Anne Hathaway's character. She's trying to get her life together. She gets that job at the bar with Jason Sudeikous, and then she's trying to stop drinking every time she gets offered a drink. She tries to not drink at all, but then she's just like, fuck it, and then she just chugs down a beer. And then little by little, the movie progresses, and you see her just trying to make things right for herself and her choices.
And she's actually like getting her life together at some point in the movie, and like she's like she quit out the alcohol. She has Jason Sudeikous, like she has these friends now. She has a job, and even with like the monster, like she as the monster like apologizes, and everybody's like rooting.
That was
for the
such an
monster
interesting
now.
thing that they actually just got down the to writing in Korean, like just like. She got the monster to literally just duck down on it. They go through a very careful plan.
To like apologize to people, and people started like warm up to the monster. Like, oh, this isn't the monster's fault, I guess. And,
pretty much,
like,
and
things in her life seem to be like going well, but then Jason Sudeikous, I don't know, he there's
snaps.
a subplot
He
where
snaps,
she kind
basically.
of like has a romantic encounter with another character that they're friends with, and
Jonas plot device. That's all he really was. He just. In a drunk situation, she got involved with him physically, and that really, really made him pissed.
Which didn't really make a lot of sense for a character.
For the guy that he started as, no, it made no sense, and that's probably the fault of the writing, not so much the performance. Because the weird thing,
a lot of this movie, which you can blame on the writing.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Jason Sudeikis, I gotta say. Very creepy. I'll give him that.
No, his performance.
It was just
great.
like
he would
just he did the classic scene where he's just waiting in the dark like this, and then Anne Hathaway comes home at one point of the movie, and then she's just like, "Oh my god!" And then he's just there. So we're gonna have that talk right now, aren't we? Are we not? And then he would just be real slow. And like I've never seen him do a performance like that, so I thought it was very refreshing. I thought it actually. In what the scene was, it worked because he acted it so well, but in the tone of the movie in general, it did not. It made no damn sense because it was literally one scene to the next. There was no
like you have
transition.
The
there was
just of Jason Sudeikis like making like
you literally
jokes,
just have him
like 10 minutes ago.
Just that.
Like,
how...
I get why they're doing it to like make it like mirror. Like sometimes in real life, people just kind of like change like that.
They do snap, but it was a little too jarring even for what this was.
Like this is a movie; it's not necessarily real life. I understand that in real life, like shit like that happens.
Exactly.
It's the movie. Like you don't have to.
I think the point this movie just definitely did a dive more. I think it even kind of went too far in terms of the depressing feeling that it kind of gave off. Is the whole we were talking about the specifics of how the monster is controlled. The big reveal by about the halfway point of this movie is there is a big reveal that there is another being that pops up in the city across the way in Korea. There is a robot that ends up appearing.
Robot too.
A giant robot, and that happens to be guess who?
Jason Sudeikis. Yeah, he
by him being drunk, he happened to stumble upon just going to the playground, and he just starts messing around because there is a playground. That's another thing. The specifics. They have to be at this playground in order for it to perfectly sync up around the other side of the world, and that's where a lot of the stuff is not explained as to why it's like this. It's not controlled by thought. It's not, well, it technically is, but the positioning is not explained. Like, you would think the monster would just kind of appear because of their thoughts, and it would just kind of be in the same area they are in.
But it's like a VR kind of thing.
Yeah, it's literally like a video game. They're just kind of there on one side of the world. If they happen to be in this playground, that is where they are literally in this like exact coordinates, because she actually writes out and traces out the coordinates.
Yeah. And she
just
like
ends
a
up there.
problem like at the very end.
Jason Sudeikis, when he turns stalker and crazy, he threatens her to the point where if you're not going to stay here, because at that point Dan Stevens comes in the picture again, saying, "Can you please come back with me? I see that you're starting to change yourself. Please let me help you more." And it's funny because he was the douche in the beginning, but then he kind of switched roles too, and he's kind of trying to be supportive.
Yeah,
unlike the beginning, but
he's not like a super douche. He's just
frustrated. You see his frustration because she's an alcoholic.
You
it's
could
tough.
See his point of view sometimes, and you could tell that he also has some stuff that he's working through. So this movie is just kind of about a bunch of messed up people trying to make with each other.
Work.
And that part of the movie I didn't really have a problem with.
The execution and how the problems were trying to get resolved, though, that's where a lot of the problems are for us. When that happens, though, that whole scene I felt like went too far. where Jason Sudeikis threatens her and saying, by that point again, Dan Stevens is trying to get her back. He shows up at her house, the whole creepy
like a stalker thing,
the
breaks
creepy
into her house
stalker,
basically.
Yeah. And then he threatens her at the playground.
Chases her.
Like he does, right?
Yeah, he chases her.
Yeah,
doesn't he chase her with
that's
a,
right.
No, he doesn't chase her with a knife. No, he just chases her.
He just chases her out,
and she like has to like beat him off with like objects.
But here was another thing, though. It was kind of funny because it was kind of a slow chase.
Trying to be like a. I think I couldn't tell if it was trying to be like intimidating or if it was trying to be funny.
The chase scene was kind of weirdly slow paced. Actually,
yeah. If like it was trying to like beat him off with things, and he's like, stop it. Like if it was trying to be funny, then I could get it if they were having fun with it. But they were like treating it like
it was really
like he was
comedic.
Really trying to like hurt her, and in the end he did. Like he
actually
when they
punched
went
her
back
to the face
when we
in that playground.
Went back to the playground, and then they turned into the monsters.
I like that idea that he went dark in a sense. Like again, on paper it sounds fine, but when he threatens her though, where he said, "Oh yeah, sure, you can go back to your boyfriend in New York. Oh yeah, but for every day you're gone, I will come to this playground and I will do what I have to do to get you to come back. Hurting all these people, I will do it." And he walks off, and then that's where Anne Hathaway's like broken, like she is just like crying, and it's such a very dark moment where it was intense and very jarring and uncomfortable.
And I don't mind that. I don't mind movies that just go there.
But when it doesn't get its focus together and not fit overall, it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
And then we have the climax of the movie, which, and all the side characters, you never see them again by this point of the movie. One guy was a drug addict and basically got called out.
There's a lot of potential with that storyline,
but nah, we don't need to cover side characters. Fuck that shit. The director / writer probably didn't care about those characters enough to give them a full arc.
Now we got crazy Jason Sudeikous.
Yeah, the climax of the movie was basically... you think Anne Hathaway's going to go back to Dan Stevens because she ends up leaving without really telling anybody in the town. Mm-hmm. Jason Sudeikis is just like, "Where are you? What the fuck? I told you my ultimatum here." And you see her getting on a plane, and you think she's going back, but it turns out she's actually going to the other side of the world in Korea, where the monster appears. How does we don't even know. This is her plan, though. Hear us out. See if this makes any sense. Considering that the exact pinpoint is that side of the world that she went to, of Korea, versus the pinpoint she was, what was it?
Seoul?
No, like where they were at, like her hometown. What was it?
Like the name of it? I don't know.
Insert northern little town.
It was supposed to be in like New England somewhere.
Yeah, there we go, somewhere. So whatever pinpoint she figured, because of an upside down map, that was her hint. She ends up going to the other side of the world in South Korea, in Seoul, and makes the monster appear where she once was, with Jason Sudeikis in the playground. All to get vengeance at him because, of course, he was being a very, very serial killer-like guy by the end. And rightly so, on paper. But it's supposed to read as this, I'm going to conquer my abuser type vibe to it. Because again, he did hit her a couple times and hurt her, but
I don't mind them like that vibe. Like I would have wished that they did that well, but they didn't.
There needed to be more transition. That's basically what needed. It felt like we skipped a scene somewhere. That's basically what happened. At least to me, his transition from very likable guy to very, very angry abuser guy.
I feel like, I'll talk about it after we finish the.
But yeah, the final thing here is she ends up also great pinpoint accuracy. As the creature on the other side of the world now, back where Jason Sudeikis is at, in the playground, she literally goes down, picks him up on the other side of the world with the creature.
She can't see him.
Yeah. There's no way. They could see because of, when they were watching on the iPad or something. That kind of a little bit can explain her seeing motions or whatever, but this is just her by herself. She has no iPad in hand. She has nothing to tell her where Jason Sudeikis is at, but she just bends down perfectly. She kind of aims for his character with the robot that's in Seoul, just a little bit, and then she just grabs for him and just picks him up perfectly. Mm-hmm. She could have crushed him technically. She didn't know how hard she was grasping.
Yeah, I know. How does she know?
And then she gives him enough time for him to just kind of struggle. The whole speech that he kind of just rambles on saying, "No, let me down, please, 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 let me down." Then he just goes off and just, "Well, you know what? Fuck you, bitch." And then that's when she tosses him with the creature's ability.
Yeah, and it's supposed to feel like this, like, kind of moment.
Fuck
like
you, guy.
She
Yeah.
gave it to him. But it didn't. It felt like
It felt more like, and I brought this up to you when we got out of the theater, more of just like, Brick just killed the guy.
like in the other parts of the movie, you see her very tortured about all of the people that she had killed because
there
she
is
was
a depressing moment with her just in her bed, just crying.
She was a giant. She was a giant monster, and she killed like a lot of people. So it's weird to have her just so nonchalantly kill this guy, even though he
deserves something bad,
like
but
he deserved to die, but like
not by her hand. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. Why did she deserve to do like? It was one person compared to the thousands that she accidentally killed because she was unknowing to the situation, but that just did not make a lot of sense at all. And I think that's kind of the biggest problem to sum this whole thing up is there was clearly a lot of good things in this movie where conquering your abuser, someone who does something terrible to you like that, or coming to grips with your own demons such as alcoholism, or just in general just trying to be less of a fuck up, like that. There's a lot of good montage moments in here.
Story.
For especially because Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikous, regardless of the weird tonal shifts that happen, they both did great work here. I really enjoyed their performances for the most part, but just a bunch of missed opportunities. There could have been even more. I don't know how big of a budget they even had for this, but there could have been more monster stuff. Like literally, there is a sweet moment where I almost want to draw it out, in my opinion, like where she's literally just like this, and Jason Sudeikis is just kind of drunk there, just like, all right, there is that cool moment where I'm like, wow, they're gonna duke it out, and they kind of they kind of do, but it's just kind of anticlimactic with that.
She slaps
scene.
him, and
she just slaps him, and then
he punches her,
and it got really dark, and the fun got sucked out of this really fast. And I brought this up to you also when we got out of it was this reminds me of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I know you said you haven't seen that movie, but. Like that movie, a very interesting and original concept for the most part. I don't know if that was based off of something, to be honest. I don't know if it was like a comic book or something.
Based off of Abraham Lincoln.
I believe it.
Yeah. There's a guy named Abraham Lincoln. He was president once.
No, but I believe that he fought vampires for real, though. I don't know. That's just me.
This guy's dumb.
I'm sorry. That's my history. I learned terribly. But anyways, I felt that movie was like this movie where it had its funny-ish moments. It had some quirky, dark moments, but it took itself way too seriously and got very dark very fast. It was very monotone throughout the whole movie, so you couldn't have fun with the concept. And this movie, started off like this. Yeah. It started off the first third, the first
promising, actually.
30 minutes were really great in terms of it was like what the trailer advertised. It was very much like the whole quirky moments that this movie was supposed to have. It kind of showed all of the good parts in the trailer when it came to the quirky, weird stuff.
Yeah, it tries to be a lot of things, and it doesn't necessarily stitch them together all too well.
Because it takes a really good director / writer to really mesh genres like that. A very serious idea such as someone trying to overcome alcoholism, and a monster movie situation such as them being able to control the monster. That's a very weird genre-bending situation, and it takes a really talented person to kind of get those tones to mesh, and clearly that did not happen here, unfortunately. A lot of opportunities were kind of missed overall. There could have a lot of the campiness that was in the first third of the movie, gone. What it was, I liked it okay. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it.
Same.
I just wish it could have been better.
Like it.
Yeah, I saw in the trailer it said this is a classic, and I'm like, wait, hold on there, man.
I get the argument that it's a very original movie, and it is.
For sure.
It's just, looking at it as a movie and, having the same standards for all movies is kind of important. Like, just because this one's kind of niche and indie and, like, different doesn't mean we should hold it to a different standard than other movies.
I've seen other reviewers with that same argument, and I tell you right now, they have that same point. Because it's original and very different.
You can't forgive it for bad storytelling, though.
Yeah, you can't do that. But yeah, overall, kind of a little bit of a disappointing experience overall. But that should do it, though, for our thoughts on Colossal. We hope you enjoyed it. And thanks again, Daniel, for helping me out talk about this movie. Good to have you on the channel. And let's see if you want to plug any more things, if you'd like.
Just the podcast. I mean,
yeah.
I only got the podcast. I mean, I also have an Instagram, but you don't have to follow that.
I'll put an annotation right here, and as well as in the description below for his personal stuff.
Just go listen to the podcast. Like, just do that. And I'm sure
FGA podcast.
he says it all the time, but yeah, FGA podcast on Instagram and Twitter and blah blah blah. Just go to iTunes and search Fans Guide, and it should be there. Fans Guide to Animation. Check it out.
And
tell us what you think about it.
Yeah, just tell us any criticism is always welcome. You know, we always want to take suggestions as well. You can send us an email. Again, all things you can, even comment below down here. If you want to, let us know. And if you haven't listened to our podcast yet, well, what are you doing? Go listen to it. It's pretty
we did
awesome.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Lego Batman so far. The next one is, we just recorded the Beauty and the Beast episode. So if you want to hear our thoughts on that, go ahead and subscribe to it, and you won't
be disappointed, unlike we were with this movie. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that other good stuff in between. So until next time, I'm Anthony Flores, and keep going to the movies.